this, and then I'm going to push this button, and now we're through. We're live. You have noise. It's all.
I do?
Yes, you do. I can see both of them, and they're both green. We're all good.
Awesome. Well, hello there. We're back. Which is, I know it's been a long time, but we're actually here.
We're here. We did it.
Yay! Yay! So, be happy and don't worry and all that stuff. We're here to talk about stuff. Because that's what we do.
And things.
And things. And
whatnot.
whatever else. Yeah. That's it. So if you don't know us, then Katie's going to introduce us now, and then we're just going to get into it.
I'm going to, real quick, do a little stretch.
Look at that flex. Look at that.
It really was just me. I needed to stretch out my elbow.
Yeah, sure.
And then I can say, hi, everyone. Welcome to All the Films We Judged Before. Hooray! I'm Katie. That's Lily K. Bam.
It is
Done.
I have a new tattoo.
It's got a new tattoo.
My Marvel armor is now finished, just so you all know, so I'm all happy.
It's just in case you were wondering and worried about it. It's done now.
Yes, it's done now. Now it's the Star Wars project that's going to come up next. So, my movie self is like, I need more. But anyway, we're back. We haven't been here for a while. And before we get into, reviewing Percy Jackson, I'm going to ask the big question that I always ask. What have you been watching lately?
Oh my god, so many movies. And because we haven't talked in a while, I can actually talk about all of them.
Yes.
Since we're doing our episode on our most anticipated of the year, I saw several of my most anticipated of the year.
You have.
Very, very much so. I went and saw Poor Things, which I told you in detail I loved. Completely just fell in love with in a way I was not expecting to entirely. It's just a really lovely movie. Mark Ruffalo, I feel like I haven't mentioned this. Mark Ruffalo is so good in it.
It's good in general.
But in a way that we haven't seen him be good before. He's so fun and awful, but in a good way in it. He's this sort of Chad narcissistic guy who's got this very posh accent, and the whole thing's very fun. And he plays such an important counterpoint to the Bella's character arc throughout the movie, and it was just such a joy to watch. And Rami Youssef as well was a very sweet other side to that whole thing.
Nice.
Burping.
Bless you.
Thank you very much. So that's wonderful, and I highly recommend people go see that if they can. I would say don't go see it with your parents.
Yeah, maybe not.
Because, oh boy, there's a lot of sex in it. That's just straight up. There is so much of it, but it's very important to the story and interestingly done. But yeah. Interesting one.
Interestingly done, she says. Okay.
Interestingly done. It genuinely is. I don't really know how to put it otherwise. It's yeah. Then I saw The Holdovers, which was really my most anticipated and didn't disappoint in the slightest. It is just a warm hug of a movie. It's so lovely. Everything about it. It was everything I wanted it to be. It was one of those rare moments watching a film where I regularly forgot I was in a cinema with a bunch of other people.
Oh, nice. That's always nice.
The audience was just perfectly quiet, and considering I was right on the end of the aisle next to the wall, which I don't tend to go for unless my other two seats in that particular screen have been taken for the evening. But yeah, I just kept forgetting, and then every once in a while I'm like, oh god, I'm in a room full of people, and then I just forget again. It was just, it's really lovely, and I'm gonna try and make an effort to make it like an actual Christmas movie I watch every year, because it's so sweet. And yeah, Dominic Sessa, newcomer, is brilliant, and I hope that whatever he decides to do next, I will watch it because he's very watchable and entertaining.
Fair.
Yeah, all very exciting. And then after that, because I've been so good, I'm really keeping up with my
You've
movies.
Yes, you are.
It's because I got paid. I'm like, money!
Money.
Now I got to spend it all on movie tickets. And then I saw All of Us Strangers last week, which
Yes.
just broke my heart. And would have done more, but again, it's that thing of like being in. I was in a different cinema, it's the one I'm in usually. It's the one I go to when like it's not in my local cinema, and it's just audiences.
And I will say it again that the British audiences are way better than
Oh,
here.
it was like it was, but it was just some guy, some old man came in near the end of the film, and the door was like next to my eye line. It's like right in my periphery, and he opened his phone up and started like looking through it at like the most like the pivotal moment of the movie where you find out like there's like one final twist before the end of the film, and I'm sitting here
Yeah.
like trying, like already emotional, genuinely am crying, but I'm also too annoyed to be like as in the movie as I want to be because there's just a guy standing there on his phone, and then eventually he, not subtly at all, creeped forward in the cinema and then sat down, and I was like, why? Don't do that. It's just, why would you do that?
I mean, yeah, I can understand that because this reminds me of what happened with me when I watched Crawl uh, back in. I think I watched it in Westfield. I am not 100% sure, but I was the only one in the cinema because it was like a very early screening of the movie, so all the horror fans were still at home sleeping or something. So it was just me, and I remember like it's like literally the last 10 minutes where the movie gets to the highest of highs and whatever, and you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, what's gonna happen? And then suddenly, I'm not joking, two little girls came in, and I was like, well, what the fuck? And it turns out that one of the guys in the front just let them in because he didn't know that the movie wasn't finished yet. And obviously, they came in, looked at the screen, the crocodile fucking, I don't know, bit someone's arms off or something, and they were like, ah! And just ran out. And that was my last 10 minutes of Crawl in the cinema. I was like,
Good stuff. Going well.
fun.
Yeah. But the movie itself is genuinely really, really sweet. I was. It kind of tricks you into feeling like it's one thing and then turned into something else entirely by the end of it. In a way
do
that's
like
very
that.
interesting because the way that they've been talking about it, the way Andrew talks about it in interviews, he's like, it's a movie on loneliness, and it doesn't feel like a movie about loneliness until you get to that last 10 minutes. In a way that I kind of wasn't expecting, but really, it kind of you see it and it reconstitutes everything that you've seen already and puts it in a kind of new light. And it took me a minute. I had to sit with it for a little while to kind of. I wasn't sure about what they did with it, and wasn't sure how it fit, how much I liked it, and all that sort of stuff. But I've come to appreciate it a bit more. I'd like to see it again. I think maybe when it comes out on DVD or something, or streaming. I guess it's just weird to say that now. It's like home release. I guess is probably the better term. Things just
Yeah,
don't come out on DVD anymore.
which is very sad. Let's be honest.
It's so sad. But I'd like to see it again just to give it like it's one. I think it's a film that you. I think a lot of people won't want to watch it more than once, but for me, it's one of those films that I would do need to see like at least twice to like see it blind and then see it understanding what it's trying to do. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So yeah, but those are my three little movies I've gone to see in the past 3 weeks. And then as we were talking about beforehand, I'm seeing American Fiction tomorrow. We're both seeing
So
Argyle
jealous
on.
of that.
We're both
Yes.
seeing Argyle on Monday. It's a lot of stuff. I'm still there's like still a bunch of I keep thinking about it, and it's like we've got a real good couple of months for movie releases. The Iron Claw finally comes out over here.
It's not even close here, so
In I think next week or something like that. So I'm gonna go try and find out where they're putting that on, and go see it.
Nice.
And then there's other stuff I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm gonna keep looking because it's just nice being able to just go to the cinema again.
I miss that, to be honest. Like, this year I only watched The Boy and the Heron so far in the cinema, and that's it. Which is sad because I love the cinema. So, like, but I looked at the our cinemas, like, list, and I was like, no.
Yeah, it was I mean, the first couple of weeks of the year were rough for many reasons, but so being able to like have enough to go and see something where I was like, I need to feel like myself again, and feeling like myself means going to the cinema, and it just can't tell you how much it helped. It
Yeah,
really helped.
it is. It has healing powers.
Mm.
So like, yeah, I understand.
Have you been watching anything? Have you had time to watch anything?
I have usually during the night, but like
Mm.
still, sleepless nights. Go watch a series or movie or whatever.
Good.
I have an ongoing series that's still going. It's Marry My Husband. It's another K drama because, as we know, I am now officially completely obsessed with Korean
Oh,
TV.
don't you worry. I walk downstairs and my mum's usually watching something Korean.
Love your mum. Putting it out there again.
Yes, February 9th for the Iron Claw. Thank you very much.
What else? What else did I watch? Marry My Husband is great, by the way. I fucking love it. Wait, hold. I do have my little book.
She's got a little book, guys.
I have
She's
a
got
little
a
book.
little book.
Yes, I have to, keep track of what I'm doing. And I'm keeping track. I haven't watched too many things, by the way. I watched, yes, Marry My Husband. I just said that. I watched That's Game, finally, because I realized it was on Prime, and I kept waiting for it on Netflix, and I was like, it's on Prime?
Which one's this, sorry?
That's another K-drama, but
okay.
it's fucking brilliant. Oh god, I could go on about it for like 3 hours of why everyone should fucking watch it. It's such a huge life lesson. It does have suicide in it at the very beginning, but it's very important to the story, and that's how that's the game starting basically. So basically, Death is punishing the main character with like 12 other chances, and the game's point is he can survive if he's able to survive in someone else's body. But all of the people that he's gonna get into are people who are destined to die. So if he can prevent that, maybe he's gonna get another chance. And at first he's like, but I don't wanna, because I killed myself. I fucking hated life, and I don't want to get back. And then as we get into it more, first of all, it does have crime in it, and very good thriller.
Not crime.
Plots. Yeah, crime. Very good like thriller things, but like by the end, once he realizes what the lesson was, fucking tears. Just like it makes you realize like so many things. I fucking love that series. I'm gonna rewatch it because it's very good, and it's a limited one, so it's like I think it's 8 episodes or 10, something like that. Maybe it's 10, but it's worth every single minute. Very good series, and it's full of Korea's biggest names. Like I think it was the most expensive series that they ever created. So it's fucking great. And thank you, Mike Flanagan. I'm just gonna put it out there because I watched this movie because Mike Flanagan listed it on his Letterboxd as one of the best movies he's seen, and I know why. Because it's heavily inspired by Hush, which is one of his movies, and it's called Midnight. It's a Korean movie. I was so hooked. Like, remember when I told you that No One Will Save You was like, for a long time I didn't have any of the, gripping my bed sheets and whatever kind of movie in my life. And then No One Will Save You came around, and it was fucking great, and it's still the best of last year. And then I watched Midnight. Damn, it was so good. It's the same premise as Hush, where we have a deaf protagonist, and she crosses paths with a serial killer. But it plays on how ignorant some people are, and how disabilities are like still like put you behind everyone basically. So brilliantly done, and it has so many good parts. So like, thank you, Mike Flanagan. Fucking love that movie. I gave it 5 stars.
Wow.
I gave it 5 stars. I'm like, Yeah, that's one of my new favorites. So yeah, that's all I watched. I haven't watched many things. I just now realize it. I'm like,
It's a decent amount, and it means that we can go cool, good stuff to talk about, and we can get into our series.
before we do that.
Oh,
Oh,
never mind.
hold on, I reached it. I reached it. This
Oh wow.
this is the book that Mickey 17 is based on.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking brilliant. I love it so much. I'm like, I am now so much more hyped for this movie. I'm so interested how they're gonna do it. And let me say that, I now understand why Bong Joon-ho choose this to turn it into a movie. It's a very
Very him project.
yeah,
Okay.
yes, very very much so. Very good book, highly recommended. Unless you don't want to, spoil the movie for yourself,
I
then
reckon I'm gonna go into the movie blind because at this point I still don't actually know anything really about it other than that teaser that they released like a year ago.
yeah,
Which already got me interested because it was Robert Pattinson and
yeah.
in a Bong Joon-ho movie, which is
I
enough
mean,
for me.
yeah, if they're gonna drop a trailer, which I think they're gonna
Yeah,
at some point,
some point.
don't watch it because I have a feeling that they probably spoil what it is about. Like, don't watch the trailer. That's the message. If you want to get surprised by Mickey 17, then don't watch the trailer. And don't read the book. Read it afterwards because it's a fucking great book. So you should read the book. But anyway, we're going to talk about another adaptation that just
Yes.
finished its run.
Very
It's
different
behind me.
vibe, I feel like.
It's here. It's here. I read all of them. I'm one of those people.
I was gonna say this would be very interesting because I've not. Percy Jackson was not. I know a lot of people who read the Percy Jackson books when I was younger, but I didn't because I was a How to Train Your Dragon kid and continue to be
Yes.
in
Fair.
many ways. But my entire relationship with Percy Jackson comes through the first movie,
Yes.
which I know a lot of people hate. But it's a fun movie. I know it's not good. It's a fun movie though.
No, I don't actually remember when was the last time I saw that movie.
Oh,
but
I've
I
not seen it
remember
in
that
forever,
it's-
but I do
yeah.
remember enjoying it when it came out.
I do remember that it's a perfect example of like how is the saying like the right casting but the wrong time with
Okay.
Logan Lerman because he was brilliant as Percy.
That's the thing. That's the thing I remember from it the most is that I think
Yeah.
he was so funny. The amount of times like it's been what? When did that movie come out? 2010, something like that. So like
Something
14
like that, yeah.
years, and I still think about this is a pen
Yes.
several times a year. It just gets me every time. This is a pen. But before we get into all the things properly, I will say there was a couple of things watching the series that I was like, oh, I can see why fans of the book would have hated that, like the change that they made in the movie. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I see what you're going for here. Okay, I understand. Totally get it.
Yeah,
I'll let you
yeah.
have that one.
Yeah, to be fair, I was one of the people who didn't have many problems with the movie. I just enjoyed it. Like, it
It's a
obviously
silly
was.
romp.
It is. It was very different from the book.
Mm.
I will say, like, that's obvious, but like, I just had a good time with it, mostly because Logan Lerman was great and I had fun with the whole thing. So, like,
Yeah.
I still don't mind that movie. That's the message. The second movie, though,
I never saw it.
I do have problems with that. I will just put it out there. So
I never saw it, which means
understandable.
that the things I've seen now, like that I've read about what's to come, I'm like, okay, there's some stuff on the way.
There is, but before
We won't get
that
ahead of
comes out-
ourselves.
But yes, we're not gonna get ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about it without spoilers 1st. What did you think altogether? of the series?
Overall, I think it's a really fun series. Like I was not shy about telling you this for the course of the past couple of weeks. I've been having a really good time sitting down to watch it every week. It's I think the world that they've kind of visually created in it is really incredible. And the characters, I think its strongest point. Everybody in it is immaculately cast.
Yes.
just immaculate. Like I don't even have like I have a sense of like I have a sense of Greek mythology and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah, yeah.
but I don't have a sense of like who these characters are really much outside of that. Or
Mm.
especially, but these kids are so good. All
They are
three of
so
these
good.
kids are so good. This
So
guy
good.
is such perfect casting.
I fucking
So
love
is
him. I
she,
loved him since
honestly.
like. Oh yeah, yeah. Annabeth was great. Fucking great.
They're just such all of them are such brilliant casting. And I've really every single one of the gods is really interesting. It's a really well made series. My only gripe, and it became more of a gripe in the last episode I found, is that it's paced poorly. It's too quick in so many
Mm-hmm.
places, and then that last episode becomes quite heavily sort of backloaded.
Mm.
In a way that like you're kind of like, wait, hang on a second, where was all of this? Some of this information did not get passed down to me as I was watching through some of these earlier episodes, which I think is a shame because like I feel like you could have done a lot more with the episode. You could have made them. You didn't even have to make them that much longer, but like 10 minutes in places where they have like. Oh, I've seen a lot of people say that there wasn't a whole lot of peril felt in a lot of the episodes because they figured things out quite quickly.
Yeah.
Which I kind of get. I was like, I'm not against them, the characters being smart, because I think that plays quite well. But things did get solved very quickly, but it's so that the episode could end,
Mm.
in this so short like time frame. Whereas it would have been nice to see a little bit more struggle in places. But yeah, that's really my only issue with it is that I think that these episodes they're too quick in places. Especially that second to last one, I think it was the shortest of the bunch of them, and I think it doesn't serve it particularly well.
Yeah, that's true. I
But
didn't even think of that.
and it's such a shame because I think otherwise it's very funny because eventually, uh, sorry, Ian said typical Disney Plus series rush the ending. Like so
Who said
true.
that?
Ian.
Ian. You're right.
Yes.
Fine. I'm not gonna argue.
Yeah. Oh, my brain went somewhere. Yeah,
Brain
everything
freeze.
else about it is so good, and it's like I don't know because eventually, in the next few weeks, hopefully,
Yeah.
touch wood, we will be talking about Black Sails, and in that we'll be able to talk a bit more about John Steinbeck, who was the showrunner for Black Sails and is one of the showrunners for this series,
Yes.
which you can tell in much of the casting.
Yeah.
Not against
You
it.
can. Not against it.
Not
at all,
against it at
but
all.
like
In fact, I want him to do it more.
I think he will. I don't. I think.
Please,
he will,
I
to be
want to
honest.
see Luke Arnold in a season some point, and I want to see Toby Schmitz. And I want to see so many people. My friend Ace said that if Artemis shows up at any point, it should be the woman who played Anne Bonny in Black Sails. And I went,
Ooh.
fuck yes, so into that.
Yeah, that can work.
It would
That can
it would
work.
really work.
That can work. Yeah,
That's
I
so
like
funny.
that.
Oh yeah, I don't know if it's because I'm such a big Black Sails fan, or if I'm just really into things. But I feel like in a lot of the dialogue, I could see John Steinbeck's writing.
Oh yeah.
I
yeah.
think you can feel his influence on it a lot. Sorry.
Bless you.
Yeah, it's a very good series. I think it has it's got places to grow, but
Oh,
as a first
100%.
series, it's very strong. Now you go.
Yes. I agree. Like it was fun. First and foremost, casting is beautiful. Fucking loved it. I mean, I loved Walker ever since Adam's Project, which is one of my favorite things, basically. So like, I was very excited to see him as Percy, and
Very talented young actor.
he's very good. It's very good. I really hope, like, it's just a rumor, but I do hope that Ryan Reynolds did grab him for Deadpool 3. Because he was brilliant reciting the entire Deadpool movie, like word to word, and I just want to see this kid do more because he deserves it. He's very good, but everyone was great. I did have issues with it, like not huge ones. Without getting into any spoilers, I don't think it's a big spoiler, so I'm just gonna say it here, and I'm gonna just complain about how they cut away from scenes. Like the first time it happened that we cut into black, I told them my TV died. I was like, "What the fuck happened?" I don't like when anything does that. Like it's just it doesn't make sense to me. Unless you like the character falls asleep and everything like
Or there's
fades
an
to
ad
black or
break.
something.
It's kind of the only reason to have it in there.
Or yeah, basically, it was very annoying in the first few episodes. I was like, by the end, I was like, fine, I guess. But like at the beginning, I was like, oh, seriously, like it felt. It's gonna sound dumb, but it brought back the quality of the whole thing for me a little bit. It brought it down a little bit. I was like, really?
Okay. Interesting.
Okay, sure, let's go with that. Like I think that would have, I don't know, it was just weird. Like that was one of the things that icked me. Like I was like the thing that I will say about like them figuring things out very quickly, I mean the first book is kind of like that. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't read it in a while, I'm not gonna lie, but I do remember that it felt a bit like let's get through this because I want to do so many things.
We gotta do so much setup so I can do really interesting stuff later, sort of thing.
Exactly.
That is what the season feels like to me. It feels like a lot of like we gotta get through this bit so we get to the real cool stuff later.
Yes, and I think that's what's gonna happen. Like I think, but it was fun. It was fun. Like what definitely brought it up like with 100 basically was the casting at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah,
every piece of casting in it was immaculate. Also, I want to shout out because Ben McCreary, once again another collaborator of John Steinbeck.
Oh.
Incredible soundtrack. The music is so good.
So good.
Yeah.
I miss this kind of music.
I mean, Ben McCreary, and any time he gets his hand on anything, it's like, oh, I've spun gold for you. Here you go.
Yes.
Like,
there you go.
Thank you.
It works, thank you. But yeah, let's get into the spoiler talk.
Spoiler time. If you haven't seen Percy Jackson, it's all available now on Disney Plus, and frankly, you could probably watch it in like 4 hours.
Yeah, very possibly.
Maybe a little bit longer than that. It's not very long. A little bit to its detriment, but that's just the way it is at the moment. Yeah. So,
all right.
Let's
spoiler stuff. You've been warned. Let's get through the bad things, the things that were like didn't work for you. With more spoiler.
Yeah,
entertainment.
Like for me, the only things that really didn't work were the pacing parts. I think it didn't bother me as much in the early episodes. I think the first time I kind of went, oh, that was a bit weird, was how quickly they killed Medusa.
Yeah.
That was the first time I kind of went, oh, okay, all right, that was because I thought there was going to be more easy. Of it. It was just too easy, and it was kind of a shame because lovely not Sarah Jessica Parker. That's just what my brain says. Like that's not her name.
that's not her name.
That's not her name. Jessica Parker Kennedy. Thank you.
That's the one.
It was brilliant. Again, casting
So
in this entire show is fan-fucking-tastic, and she's really, really good. It was a really interesting Medusa, and I like any telling of Greek mythology that really pushes the idea that Medusa was not necessarily was kind of fucked over by Athena.
I mean,
which
she was.
She was, but like it's one of those tellings that like I think is becoming more prevalent nowadays than it was, when I first started hearing about the story of Medusa as like a kid, in those ways and sort of stuff.
Yeah, I will quickly just point it out here. 2 things. There is a movie. It was a 2-parter movie, and I think it was done by Hallmark, and I fucking love that movie. That's all I remember. I remember that Treat Williams is in it, and it's like heavily based on the Greek mythology, and they have the Medusa storyline in there, and they were kind of the first ones where they were like, okay, she's like not evil or anything like that, and she's actually someone who you should feel bad about. And but
what I think this does very interestingly is that it shows she was screwed by the gods quite heavily, but also she's not a protagonist. Like she's still an antagonist within the story, which I think is a very hard thing to balance a lot of the time. To be like, this is a person that you should have sympathy for, but also in this current point in time, there's a lot of things that do pit our heroes against them, which is very interesting. Yeah, but that was like the first point I think in the series that I remember feeling like, oh, that was a bit weird actually in the pacing, and a bit quick. In the resolution, which was a shame, because you could have gotten like a little bit more of a chase out of it. It didn't even need to be like a fight or anything like that, but like just how quickly it happened, I was kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then, yeah, that second to last episode, which I think has some of the most interesting stuff in it, is just so short that it doesn't let you sit in it for long enough.
Yeah.
Especially as it's so interesting. It's just this is the frustrating part about it. It's like so much of your world is so cool, and like I want to know more about. Like, I would have loved to have seen. Honestly, that entire trip down to Hades could have been way longer. I didn't realize they'd crossed the river until they got to until they were talking to Charon, and he was like, "You didn't pay the fee," and I was like, "Wait, they crossed already?" I didn't realize some of the like internal like
I don't think they crossed the river
they did. That was the thing, because they had to cross back over again. It was, I don't know, it was, that's the thing, it's not clear in the storytelling, in the physical storytelling of it. The impression I got was that they'd somehow already crossed the river. Maybe I read it wrong, and it was
I don't think they did.
My whole issue, generally speaking, was that it's not clear in like what is the word I'm looking for? There's like an internal map, essentially, that within the world that I don't think was particularly like on point in like in terms of like having a sense of where these characters are trying to progress to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which just kind of it was just it was a shame, and especially just how quickly they spent all this time trying to get there, and then by the time they got there, they were only there for like a little bit until they, he saw his mother, and then suddenly there was a whole thing about the helm, which I think is the thing in the last episode that also bugged me, was how did we know that Ares had the helm? Was that said? I don't think it was. Was it? Okay.
It was. Well, because they go to retrieve the helm in what's the god's name?
Hephaestus.
In the yes, that was the helm. Yeah, so basically it wasn't.
It wasn't. So right, okay. That again, don't think was particularly clear, because in my head that was a shield and now it's a helmet, right?
It was. Wait, hold on. Now I'm confused.
No. The thing it was holding in Hephaestus's
it was
a shield.
Was it a shield?
It was a shield. I'm pretty sure it was a shield.
Okay, I'm confused now.
I'm pretty sure it was a shield, because he said he wanted his shield back. I mean, it could.
Someone look it up. Ian,
please.
Please look it up.
Point being,
now I'm confused.
All of those things I don't think were particularly internally coherent. I guess it don't feel like they had enough like presence in the narrative for me to be able to say for sure that it was a shield or where the helm came from and all of these bits and pieces,
Yeah.
So when Percy was like, "Hey, I want the helm," I was like, "He has the helm." I didn't know that. Did we know that? Kind of thing.
I had it in my mind that they went to collect the helm for some reason.
Maybe they did say helm. I'm pretty sure it looked like a shield. I don't remember at this point. This was weeks ago.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
And then about 5 different things happened in that last episode, and it's only, the whole thing is 40 minutes long, and that's including credits and like recaps at the beginning and end. So it's probably more like 30 by the time you get through the whole thing.
Yeah, it is.
So they go through so many places, and you just don't feel like it sits particularly well, I think. Which again, it's just a shame, because I really would have liked everybody to kind of just sort of sit in the space that they're in for a little bit longer. I also found that the whole bit right at the end about him getting his mother back and then it turning out to be a dream and then him waking up and I'm like, oh, did we actually miss their actual reunion then? I don't know. It didn't play very well for me.
Yeah, that was
being
a bit
said,
weird.
that little bit where she's like, oh, did you have another nightmare? He calls Kronos grandpa is so funny.
It's yeah. It is. It truly is.
But yeah, that's honestly in terms of everything, it's like one gripe that kind of affects quite a few things. But it is my only real gripe with the series. I'm otherwise very impressed by the whole thing and very excited about where it's going to go from here and all these bits and pieces. But I want to hear what you think.
I think I am very annoyed because I can't find that movie, but I will find it and I will send it over. I remember that it was a very fun movie and like, Anyway, the other thing I wanted to say regarding Jessica is that thankfully I realized it here that because I'm gonna be real here, she was fucking awful in The Flash.
Yeah, I feel like The Flash didn't do her any services because you saw her in The Flash. I know her from Black Sails, which again was actually very funny for me because the moment she started talking, I was like, why doesn't she have a French accent?
Fuck. I literally, like, she was one of those characters that I wanted to kill, basically. I was like, I hated her in The Flash. I was like, she's the worst actress that I ever seen, and I was fuming and whatever. And then, you know, obviously I've seen Black Sails since then, and now I've seen her in this, and I just realized that she just had a very bad director and very bad screenplay, and that's it.
That's it.
Because otherwise she's fucking great. Like,
so
she was
good.
great. Yeah, she's great here. I was like so happy when I realized, that's her. Okay, good. She's great. So yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to say there. Yeah, I think other than the transitions between scenes, which I just can't get over.
I didn't notice it, which is why I'm very interested by I guess vaguely I can recall like some of it happening, but it didn't bother me in the same way. But it's one of those things where I'm like, interesting. I can understand why it would annoy you. Is where I'm
really
coming
did.
from.
It really did annoy me. I was like, it's because whenever this happens, it takes you out from the moment that you're in, and it kind of feels like we didn't know how to do it otherwise. So here is fading into black.
Do you know what's really interesting? I was talking a lot about this the other day with some people, with a friend of mine. There's a real lack of understanding, generally speaking, throughout like all of filmmaking nowadays when it comes to pacing. It seems like nobody actually knows how to pace anything properly anymore.
That's very
90%, I want to say, of the movies that I see go on too long or have like an extra shot where they shouldn't do at the end, or like have a whole scene that, and it's just like, because like I don't know, I don't know if it's like something I'm just very sensitive to when I am watching something, but I feel like things have an internal rhythm and you can feel when that rhythm is off, even if you can't like pinpoint it exactly. And it's like the art of like pacing has just disappeared from filmmaking in a lot of ways. Even Past Lives, which is a movie I adore, I think it is perfect in every other way, except there's one shot at the end of the film that I just don't think needs to be there. Like, it's just like one finally, she cuts away from what I think would have been the perfect ending to the movie to add this extra shot in at the end, and I'm like, I just don't think you need it. Like, I would take that out immediately. It's like
yeah.
It's
I'm not gonna lie to you. That's why I changed to. I think that's one of the reasons I'm more into the Korean filmmaking, because they are so good at it. I fucking love, like, you know, I'm always very joyful with it. But yeah. Anyway, it definitely took me out of the transition thing. I'm like, I don't like it when they do it like that. Like, it just feels lazy. That's it. That's the thing. Fair. It's like, other than that, like, I didn't have many problems with it.
Right.
To be fair, like, yeah, sometimes they were too quick with things. I definitely think that these episodes should have been like, I'm not gonna say 50, but like 45 minutes long.
Yeah,
but like without the
I
credits.
I think 45 minutes is a really good. I think 45 minutes is a great episode length for most things, to be honest with you. But 45 minutes would have been, I think, perfect. And it's not like they all have to be 45 minutes, but like
no, but like
longer than 30.
Oh, definitely. There were some crucial episodes that should have been longer. Especially the end. Like, you know, that felt very rushed, and I was like, okay, I guess we're done with it. Then
the quest is over, I guess.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, other than that, like, you know, I didn't have any problems with it. Like, I do remember kind of that I didn't like at the beginning. I didn't like Annabeth at the beginning in the books.
Okay.
And it transitioned really well here as well, because during the first, like, 3 or 4 episodes before she gets to the turning point, and you realize how she really is. She's so perfectly done, and I don't know the actress's name. I'm so sorry.
Leah Sava Jeffries, I think. Leah Jeffries
Okay.
is a name. I
Okay.
don't know if she goes by all three.
She's very good.
Yeah, Leah Sava
Brilliant.
Jeffries. She's brilliant.
Okay.
Brilliant.
She's brilliant, and she translated that from the book
Yeah.
very well. So, like, but at the beginning, I felt like it was a tiny bit too much, tiny bit, but not like in an annoying way. Like, they didn't turn it over to be like too much. It was like well balanced at the end.
I think it
And
does a very good job of showing that she's Athena's daughter in that sort of like,
Oh,
I know
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
lot, and it's like, no, you need to be humbled a little bit, that kind of a feeling.
Just a little bit,
Yeah.
just a little bit. So yeah, other than that, I didn't really have any problems with it.
Yeah.
Like, it was good. I enjoyed
good
it. Like,
show.
I had a very, it was, the cinematography, sound, music, everything was just good. I would say that sometimes the dialogues were a bit like, "Ugh." I had a few ick moments in there where I was like, you could have done that a tiny bit better, but nothing major. Like, I think I couldn't even recall.
I was going to say, can you
Which
think of any
episode?
specific examples?
No, not really. Like, maybe when they try to be too like we're adults and not kids, and I think some of that got a bit lost in there. Like, because yes, they are like that in the books, but like, I think they put too much on it in the dialogue. Like, I don't know. It was just a bit weird. It was just a tiny bit weird, but yeah, not a big thing. Not a big thing. Positives. Let's talk about positives.
So many positives. I think the first thing I want to talk about, just because it excites me so much, Toby Stevens as Poseidon.
I knew
waited
that's gonna be the
the
one.
entire. It really was like the thing I was waiting for, and when he showed up, and it was so. That scene between him and Sally is heartbreaking and brilliant. They ate that scene. It's so good.
I will say one thing, that I was kind of hoping for it, because I thought that it was a brilliant idea to bring Logan Lerman back as Poseidon and have him be the dad of Percy.
I can see that, but I mean, Toby Stevens.
Yeah, I mean, he's great.
Poseidon.
I don't have any problems with him at all. But like, I had like a fun time imagining that, like, what kind of a flashback would have been to see Logan Lerman, former Percy Jackson, come in and be like, "I'm your father now."
That's kind of cute. Yeah, I can see that. But no,
Yeah,
it's so, it's like, I mean, there's a big reason why part of our most recent last swap was we exchanged Toby Stevens roles to each other. He's brilliant, always.
He is very good.
And it just, like, that whole scene was really it really was a standout for me. The whole like,
Oh yeah, 100%.
the fact that she didn't even make that much of an offering. He just arrived immediately, and it told you so much about their relationship. There's a real subtle bit in it where when she goes, "Do you want to talk to him?" where you can hear thunder in the background, like Zeus is like being like, "I'm fucking listening," and he has to be like, "Not yet," kind of thing. And it's like, oh boy, that's some good filmmaking right there,
Yeah, it was really good.
And then subsequently in the episode afterwards, which I think is the best part of the episode for me, was getting to see lovely Lance Reddick play Zeus, who, again, perfect. The amount of gravitas that man had, and just like a sense of, like, there is a sense of thunder about him in it when he's playing Zeus, and also he had such an impressive voice as well, and the whole thing. It was just like, I don't know. I was feeling very sad that we don't have him anymore when I was watching it.
I'm not.
So
I didn't know. I didn't know that it's gonna be him in the role. So when he showed up, I literally teared up like immediately. I was like, oh no, oh no. And then obviously in the end it was like a loving memory, and then done.
Yeah, I
I don't want to be reminded of that. Like, I fucking hate that. Like, I miss him so much.
Yeah,
That man was
but
something else.
his scene, that whole scene, I think, was one of my favorites of the entire
Boy,
series. I'm
I
gonna
was like,
poor,
Kratos.
oh no. uh,
Kratos in the
and
house, yes.
and I've read a little bit in pieces about like how that whole thing goes, because obviously in the book, from what I know, he does make the deadline, but they very intentionally made it so that he missed the deadline in this, so that
Yes.
Poseidon has to be like, Poseidon will come in and be like, please don't hurt my son, I
Yeah.
surrender, sort of a thing, which just immediately gives you so much about like who this man is and all this stuff. I know that they're making him out to be a lot more nice, I guess, than he
They do. Yeah.
which I'm
It's a
into,
word,
to
yeah.
be honest. I think you can make a way more tragic character and show like a flawed character under that by doing that whole thing. And it was that whole exchange about like, do you dream of my mother, and the fact that he just doesn't answer, and I'm like, that's John Steinbeck dialogue, baby. Like, I can tell. Just the face journey, both of them acting off each other. I'm very excited for them to do more things together, and I hope we
Oh,
get
yeah.
to see them in way more scenes, because
We
electric,
will.
electric
We
stuff.
will.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite moments. I loved seeing Timothy Omundson as Hephaestus,
Yes.
with like a disabled actor playing a disabled character. I love all that. That's very, very cool. I was saying that specifically just because Timothy's been very vocal about on Instagram how excited he was to be able to play this role with his cane and all those sorts of things. Honestly, if there was any other gripe I had, it's that his scene was way too short. I would have
Yeah,
loved to see
that's
him
true.
more. He just kind of comes out, says a bit of dialogue, and then frees him, and then the whole thing is fine.
But that's the thing. Like, okay, that's another problem I had with them. Like, you bring in these amazing actors and they are barely in, which is like, okay, fair. It's kind of like that in the book as well. But like here, it just felt too short.
Yeah, it's like,
for
oh,
for
but you do
every
need to,
single
I
one
want
of
more
them.
meat. I want more meat. I
Yes,
want you to
yeah,
feed me
yeah.
more.
And I think literally that extra 10 minutes would have helped every episode so much, especially like with that as well. I'm like, because for example, one of my biggest things was Lin Manuel Miranda, and
That was going to be one of my next spaces. He's
he's
really
like
good.
he's fucking great. He's always fucking.
I know,
fucking
but
love
like,
him.
so I think like he gets memed so much, and like you don't see him in television nearly as much as like you hear about the things that he's written and all that sort of stuff. So to get him to see him like in a role where he's just acting is always quite rare, but also
It's
very
great.
fun.
Yeah.
Especially he has that sense of like playfulness that I think Hermes like comes with, which I just really enjoyed. Yeah, he was one of my. I really enjoyed him as well.
But it wasn't
It was
enough.
too short.
Yep, that's the thing. I think that's the only real problem of the entire
Yeah.
thing.
Too short. I want more.
Just too short. Just like just a tiny bit more. Like, it's not even that like we need like an hour long episodes, because no. But you don't have to rush everything.
Yeah, it's like it really could like just take a second to like slow down in so many places. I think it undercuts some of the more emotional like moments, such as that incredible scene where he sits down in the chair and is like, I'm okay, and then it cuts off and it's like, fuck, that like is so good, but then he's out of the chair within the next 10 minutes. Like he's not it's not a thing that sits for long enough.
No. Oh, definitely not.
Which is such a shame because they're both so good in that scene.
Heartbreaking. It's proper heartbreaking. But it's like it just if you get there where you're like your heart is already like in half, and then suddenly done. But
It's like I just want to sit in some of these spaces for a little bit longer. I want to give a shout out to Arayan. I looked up his name before I started, which who's our lovely Grover here.
Yes.
Who I think truly one of my favorite parts was him managing to sort of manipulate Ares into giving out a bunch of information in that whole sequence.
He was really good. He was really good.
He's very fun. And sweet,
Oh, yeah.
And it was very funny seeing the amount of people who really were convinced that he was the one who was going to betray everybody. Like, I know that like I have like a little bit of what's the word?
Knowledge.
Knowledge. That's a good way of putting it. Forewarned knowledge, I guess, because I'd seen the movie, so I knew obviously that Luke
It's not gonna be.
Luke was the lightning thief
Yes.
the whole time. But and I could see how people could go down that road. Like I could, it's still very funny.
Yeah. I think especially with the whole school scene and everything, they
Yeah.
set it up great.
Yeah.
For those who haven't,
Yeah.
didn't know anything about the books or anything like that. What I think they did, what I felt was a tiny bit lazy was actually Luke.
Yeah.
Like the whole reveal around him and everything, especially someone who read the books, watched the movie obviously, and I was like, I don't know if he did it right. I'm not gonna lie. Like if I would come into this without knowing anything,
I feel like
I don't think they set it up as a good surprise. Like, oh, it was Luke, and it didn't feel like that.
It's almost like they could have been more clues in the sort of build up to it. I would have liked to have had more of Luke kind of almost peppered in a little bit more, so that we got a sense, more of a sense that they had more of a relationship before he went out on the road. Because they
only put it in the last episode.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like... And that sword fighting thing was honestly the most Black Sails thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. I was watching it like, this is the last season of Black Sails.
Which one?
The flashbacks with him teaching him how to sword fight. That's literally what happens in the entirety of episode 9 in series.
That's true.
4.
Yeah.
It's like, that's just that. It's the same thing. In a way that I was like, that's John Steinbeck. Just very... And I liked it as like a narrative thing, but it was like... It was one of the things that confused the timeline of the entire series for me, because I was like, how long was Percy at camp before he left? Because it didn't feel like he was there for that long, and...
because they didn't give time.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's one gripe, but it does have such a big ripple effect throughout the entire piece.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if you fix that one thing, everything else becomes better.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't know if it was like more of a budget thing. I guess that it must have been a very expensive thing to make.
That shot of Olympus when he finally arrives, gorgeous, but also
fucking gorgeous.
So much money went into that one
so
shot.
Much money.
Sure.
So much money, so I can imagine that it was budget thing, whatever. But I do feel like that the only thing that they really need to focus on in season 2 is that just give a little bit more space to your characters to breathe and exist, and we don't have to rush through everything. I know that these streaming services are always afraid that it's not gonna do well, and
nobody wants to watch long form content. Everybody wants to watch long form content.
Everybody wants to watch that. Yes, exactly. So I know that is there, and if the numbers drop by like 1%, they already like, oh my god, don't please don't put less money into it. I think it's such a good story, and it was done so well that it wouldn't matter if maybe the visuals are not as grand as whatever. Xena and past Hercules and young Hercules all worked back in the day, and they barely had any budget, and they did it, and it was so much fun. Even now thinking back on them, I'm like, yeah, those are fun. I can watch them again. And there are a ton of fantasy series back in the day, meaning that maybe 10 years ago or whatever, that are not big budget TV shows, but they still work. It's still fun because they had a good story and good characters. Done.
And it really is, all of the characters in this series are the thing that drive it forward and make it really fun to watch, and all those sorts of things. Immediately I like Percy as a character. I like Annabeth. I find them, and I like Grover, and I like how their relationship unfurls, and I like hearing the Consensus song, because that's really funny.
It is.
And I love how much of a New Yorker you can tell Percy is in so many little bits and pieces. Just gets cut off even though he's driving so poorly, immediately yells at the other guy. That hysterical. The whole bit about him being like, suckers only suckers wait in line, and he's like, they're dead, Percy. They are dead people. We're all dying if you think about it. It's just like little bits and pieces like that. I'm like, this kid's hilarious, and I really like getting to know him, and seeing how like brave he is.
Yeah.
Is such a fun.
Without thinking into any.
He's just like, yeah, no, I'm gonna
Yeah.
immediately self-sacrificing in so many ways. I love that piece that Poseidon says at the end, where he's like, you're not very good at being obedient, are you?
Oh,
And
yeah.
he goes, I suppose not. The sea does not like to be restrained. And I was like, oh, that's good content. That's some good dialogue.
Yeah, it's good.
I
It
love
is
that.
really good.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love
Yeah.
his whole relationship. I think his mother's brilliant. I think that's such a great piece of
Yeah.
casting as well. She's such a fun, and not even fun's not really necessarily the right word, but like,
I know
it's
what you mean.
nice seeing. It was really interesting seeing a mother-son relationship. I nearly said daughter. That wouldn't have been correct. Relationship between like it's a neurodivergent child and a mother who's just trying their best, and both of them feeling like they're failing in some way, even though neither of them are. It's just like, your kid's too young to understand what you're going for, and also you don't have the sort of capacity to explain it to them in the way they're going to understand all these bits and pieces. There's so much richness in there. I just wish there was space to be. you know?
Yeah, I think that's the whole point of the entire
Yeah.
conversation. Needs more time.
Needs more time.
That's the lesson. Needs more time. That's it. All right. How would you rate it out of 1 to 10?
How would I put it? I think 8. I think 8 is a good number for it.
I agree.
With
I think
a
a solid
real good space to be able to like grow into something that could be genuinely fantastic. I try to remind myself that the first season of Black Sails, while excellent, is not perfect.
It took me 3 months to get through the first
Yeah,
season.
it very much tries to be something else, but by the time you get to the end, it's like, holy fuck. It has such a space. There is so much space for it to turn into something extraordinary.
Yes.
And I can see so much potential in it, so I'm excited to. And they haven't confirmed a season 2 yet, have they?
Well, they kind of did and kind of didn't.
This is-
The writers are already writing. That's
Right.
That's all.
Classic.
You know. That's out. We know that much, but like it's not confirmed yet. But I think it's safe to say that it's one of the greatest shows that Disney put out, like number wise. So I would be very surprised if they would say no to doing another season at least. I mean, yeah, I agree with the 8, and I am very excited to see how they're gonna evolve the characters because I know what's gonna come next, and I know that one my favorite one is the one in the middle here. That was my favorite book, and I that's not going to be season 2. That's 100% sure. So
And
like
from what
you know,
I was just reading, Forbes did an article saying that basically their intention is to do a season per book, which makes
Yes.
sense.
it does.
The last thing I heard, because I've been on Tumblr, and I am always on Tumblr, is the way of things, and I like seeing people's reactions in the tags and all that sort of stuff. The last thing I heard, something about a wedding dress. A lot of talk about Grover being in a wedding dress. Okay, sure.
Shall we wait and see? I'm not spoiling anything. But yes, it's going to be very exciting, hopefully, to see how they make it into the entire thing, basically. There are a lot of great things coming based on the books, obviously. So hopefully, fingers crossed that it's still going to do well. I'm fairly sure that we're going to get a season 2.
Yeah,
I think
I feel
that's-
pretty confident about it. I
Yeah,
feel like
I
it seems
I don't think they're
fair.
gonna just like knife it. Hopefully not. Let's see. But yeah, 8 out of 10 on both our ends. And this was our Percy Jackson talk. Tell us what you thought about the series in the comments. And we're not gonna be back next week. before I can tell you false information. But we are recording something very exciting next week, actually.
True.
But we are recording it on the day that
Yeah.
something should drop, and we're not gonna have time to do that.
We're both very busy.
Yeah, life happens, That's the thing. But we came up with a plan, so don't worry. Hopefully it's not gonna happen many more times where you without content, without
Hopefully.
our beautiful faces. and
We're
voices.
doing our best. There may be
Yes.
the occasional time where we have to skip a week because we have lives, but
Might happen, yeah.
If you keep an eye on our Twitter, most 99% of the time we'll let you know that. That's basically the spot. I know people don't use Twitter very much anymore because it got murdered by a stupid billionaire, but it is the easiest place for us to put information. So just so
Yeah.
you're aware.
Or just check YouTube, because
yes,
sometimes we remember to post things.
Sometimes we do,
Sometimes we
but
do,
sometimes
not
we
always.
don't. Yeah, we've got a very interesting thing we're doing next Thursday, but then we've also got finally our little
Yes.
in the next few weeks, one episode about Lost in Space, one episode about Black Sails.
It's gonna be
It's our Toby
Toby-
Stevens month.
Toby Stevens days, basically. So look forward to them. Also, something I learned today. Katie already knows this, so shh. Do you know who is Toby Stevens' mother? I was flabbergasted when I found it out. It's Maggie Smith. What?
Listen, I know I said that I already knew it, but like when I found out, I was like, sorry. It is bonkers.
I still can't believe it. Like for me, I look at those pictures and they don't look the same. I'm like, how is this possible?
I can see the family resemblance. Like,
I don't.
It's
I'm like,
he looks way more like his dad. If you go and look at his
Yeah, I didn't check
Wikipedia
that, I'm not
page,
gonna
but, like,
lie.
he does look a lot more like his dad. But they have the same eyes. Like, you can kind of
I
see it
don't
on
know.
them.
I don't see it. I don't know why, but I just can't see it. But it makes sense. Like, Toby is great, so like I guess it makes sense that he comes from a family where everyone is fucking talented when it comes to acting. So like, I shouldn't be surprised.
This is it's like, yeah, good stock is like the minimum sort of thing to say.
Exactly. Just imagine living in the same house as Maggie Smith. I'm like, the best times. Honestly, I love that woman so much. I'm like, if I could just spend one day with her, done. That's done. Happy days. And Toby can be there as well because we love Toby. Like,
I love Toby.
I think we made that very clear that we love Toby
I
Stevens.
love Toby
Yeah?
Stevens.
Yeah, I am trying to get him to come on the podcast. It's not easy.
No,
It's not easy.
I
but
imagine
I'm
not.
on it. I'm on it. I'm gonna, I will find my way through everything. Just maybe, hopefully.
Listen, Fathoms Deep had real trouble getting him on for the entirety of the show at the time they were doing the show, and they had him on for one episode, and that was it. So, and this is
Anyway.
the show where Luke Arnold would not stop coming back to talk incessantly about Silver because that man loves being Silver.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe it happens, maybe it won't. I don't know, but we're gonna talk about Toby Stevens soon, and through
Yeah.
podcasting, 2 brilliant things that he did. Done. That was the sentence. Anyway, this was us. We are fucking off now because Katie works tomorrow.
Don't
and
actually, but like.
Okay, Katie doesn't work tomorrow. But I will. I'm finally starting my small business. By the way, keep your eyes on Twitter and Instagram because soon you can get my drawings for yourself.
Yay!
Yay! Anyway, take care. Watch movies and don't
Yes.
forget to subscribe.
Watch movies. Please subscribe.
Bye.
Goodbye,
Please.
everybody. I'm gonna switch back to the stream
Yes.
starting thing. Remember, this doesn't mean the stream is starting. It actually means it's ending. I
It's
still
ending.
don't have an ending screen.
I will do that.
I'm not. That wasn't a stream. That wasn't a shade. It's just.
Sure. Anyway, we love you all.
Goodbye, everybody.
Watch movies.
Bye.